Every writer, when they are creating a new work of fiction, which means they are making up a character or a whole cast of them, should be mindful of the story of Frankenstein. Mary Shelley's famous narrative is usually viewed as a cautionary tale for scientists about what is ethical and moral in medical experimentation and what is not. Think about cloning, steroids, HDH, and stem cells. Also, even more dramatically, whether scientists can permit themselves to play God, and if they do, if they let their reach exceed their grasp, as someone inevitably does, against all argument and supervision, where does it leave them if what they have created is beyond their control? And there may be some food for thought in that, along with a few promising story arcs. Certainly the people who make the typically dreadful horror movies using the story as a spine ultimately condemn the doctor and his work, as do those incessant villagers, for overreaching his own abilities and the boundaries of nature. Sometimes when you boldly go where no man has gone before, you know what? You're trespassing. You're not supposed to be there. You're in shit so deep, there is no way out. The creature is seen as an innocent, abandoned by his maker and misunderstood by all who encounter him. He is betrayed by his gross appearance, his lack of sophistication, and his inability to understand the finer points of human interaction. He's the little flower girl without an instructor, and it's perfectly true that the story of Pygmalion is the exact opposite of that of Frankenstein. Okay, given that the world is driven by scientific research and technological invention, it's inevitable that the story will find its importance and resonance in that area. But Mary Shelley was a writer, and she was married to a writer, and hanging out with writers, poor thing. So it's not at all far-fetched to think that her famous story has something to do with writing itself, that the doctor at his work is very much like the author in the process of creating her story. Clearly she is making it up, but because she wants it to have a powerful effect, she wants it to appear to be real, like it could have happened, as if, verily, it did. Thus the use of letters to tell the story, making it seem that someone has discovered real documents, epistles. The characters she makes must seem to be real, and as she works on the story, fantastic as it is, she fine-tunes the characters until they are as real to her as the people she is living with, those nutty writers, her husband Percy and his buddy Lord Byron. When you're reading a story that is unsatisfactory, unconvincing, or watching a movie that is boring the crap out of you, even though it's loaded with explosions and chases and evil monsters, take a moment to pity the characters that are trapped in such tales. They have no say in their own cut-rate creation. They have no way of improving their state. Oh, they're out there all right. Those characters that you encounter that seem to be feeble-minded, the ones that are so totally predictable, the ones that are as interesting as an empty train station at 3 a.m., they were all badly made, set out deformed, or poorly formed, cheap imitations, and the ones who made them have taken their pay and vamoosed, leaving the miserable characters to clunk about as best they can, which is never very well at all. Or, on a more fortunate day, you may encounter someone, a make-believe character, that makes you laugh or moves you to tears, who seems to be, or rather I might say, feels more real and significant to you than the folks you live with every day. These characters were fashioned with great skill and care, an amazing attention to detail, certainly a lot of effort, and a huge amount of what a parent would call love. But a parent more than loves their child, having invested physically, emotionally, spiritually, their own life in the child, so that they are utterly devoted to it. So too an author can hatch and nurture a character into life, a life so full and real that it begins to live a life of its own, The author does not abandon the character, but the character is so richly created that it not only completely capable of making his or her own decisions, but will insist on doing so until the author, out of a kind of respect, and not without some misgivings, and possibly even a tinge of sadness, which any parent will comprehend, the author allows the character some degree of, possibly full, autonomy. And then people, like the villagers, will come back to the author and demand to know, why did you do this or that?